Hi, welcome to my podcast. And in the podcast, I will communicate with the open ChatGPT and five topic associated with AI. So let's get started. The first topic is about these things. I will give the topic to the ChatGPT. So let's get started. Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you loud and clear. Let me know what's on your mind.
I will give you a topic. So let we start talking like the podcast.
Absolutely, let's do it. Just let me know what topic you have in mind, and we'll jump right into our podcast style chat. 很有意思的话题，那我们就从这里开始聊吧。
We talk in English.
Of course, let's switch back to English. So, picking up from that topic, welcome to our podcast chat. We're diving into the idea of the solo paradox all over again. Basically, whether AI is actually a productivity revolution or just a bit of a mirage in the statistics. Let's get into it.
So how do you feeling about this the phenomenon? And I think the AI is really make some productive in the many industry.
Yeah, I think you're definitely onto something. It's a bit of both, right? On one hand, AI really is driving productivity gains in a lot of fields, like speeding up code generation, automating routine tasks, or even helping out in healthcare or logistics. But on the other hand, we might not be seeing those gains neatly reflected in productivity data just yet, kind of like the old solo paradox with computers. So yeah, it's a fun debate. Are we in the middle of a true revolution, or is it just that the numbers haven't caught up?
For example, like I give a very obvious example is like the supermarket. Before the AI technology, we buy the fruit or the something we need to have a employee to help us to take the weight, take the price of weight. But the reason the month I found a lot of the supermarket who take which take the AI powered with the calculate machine. The employer just need to put down the package under the machine and the price, the identify the type of fruit will finish in just the several seconds. So I think it's a really the improve of productive.
Yeah, that's a perfect real world example. It's those little day to day efficiencies that really show how AI can boost productivity. In supermarkets, like you said, just having those AI powered skills or self checkout systems means employees can focus on other things and customers get through faster. It might not be a giant statistical jump that shows up overnight, but on the ground, it definitely feels like a real productivity improvement.
So how do you another example or do you more deep the experience can to share?
Sure. Another example that comes to mind is in software development itself. For instance, a lot of companies are using AI tools to handle code reviews or even generate boilerplate code. That means developers can spend less time on repetitive stuff and more time on creative problem solving. And from what I've seen, that does add up to a noticeable shift in how quickly projects move along. So yeah, that's another angle on how AI is quietly changing the productivity game behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, you did the use case very obvious after the AI make the become the public. For example, currently I have a lot of the product was built completely by AI, not by my manually to write. And so I think the topic is made for more focus on the some industry. It's more focus on the quality or the safety of the data, not take weight on the efficiency and speed. So how do you feel?
Yeah, I totally get what you mean. It's like in some industries, especially where data quality and safety are super critical, like healthcare or finance, they might not be pushing for pure speed and efficiency as the main goal. Instead, they're more interested in making sure that AI is maintaining accuracy, reliability, and data integrity. So I agree with you. The focus does shift depending on the context. In some places, it's all about making things faster and more efficient. In others, it's more about ensuring that the AI is trustworthy and that the results are rock solid. So yeah, it's definitely a nuanced conversation.
But recently we can see a lot of the company have the take their eyes on the healthcare, because healthcare is a really huge the market, especially AI can quickly to respond the problems for this the how to say the 病人 in English. Yes, what I mean.
Absolutely, you're spot on. Healthcare is a massive market, and it's no wonder a lot of companies are jumping in because AI can respond to patient needs really quickly and potentially improve outcomes. And no worries about the word. Yep, patient is exactly what you're looking for. So it's definitely an exciting space where AI isn't just about efficiency, but also about making a real difference in people's lives.
But some people say the AI cannot to be dive into the doctor the process, and how do you feel in that?
Yeah, that's a really valid point and a pretty common concern. A lot of people argue that while AI can be a fantastic tool in healthcare, it's not really a substitute for the human elements of being a doctor, like empathy, ethical judgment, and the nuanced decision making that comes from experience. So I'd say it's not so much about replacing doctors, but more about AI acting as a support tool that can help them do their jobs better and let them focus on what humans do best.
Focus on what humans do best.
Yeah, exactly. It's like letting humans do what they're really best at. Things like showing empathy, making complex ethical calls, or building that trust with patients that's so important in healthcare. And meanwhile, AI can handle the heavy data lifting, offer quick diagnostic suggestions, or just streamline the routine stuff. So it's really more of a team effort than a replacement.
Exception this healthcare. What another industry have this the same restriction? How do you feel it?
Sure. Another industry that comes to mind is something like finance. In finance, you have similar guardrails because it's not just about speed and efficiency, it's also about trust, regulatory compliance, and making sure there's a human in the loop for critical decisions. Just like in healthcare, you want AI to help with analyzing data or detecting fraud, but you still need that human judgment for the final call. So yeah, finance is another space where there are similar restrictions and a need to balance the tech with human oversight.
Guardrails. What does mean?
Oh, sure. By guardrails, I just mean the kinds of boundaries or guidelines that keep things safe and reliable.
Oh,
So in industries like finance or healthcare, these guardrails are basically the rules and human checks that make sure AI doesn't go off track and that people stay in control of important decisions. So it's really just a fancy way of saying there are safety measures in place.
finance. You to say in the finance. I remember have a several months a day have a very interesting match. Is some people put the same founder to the several open or closed model to let them to make the deals in the crypto. And the finally just I remember just the two Chinese open model make the profit, and another just take a lot of the loss. So how do you see this race?
Yeah, that's a really fascinating example, and it definitely shows how unpredictable things can get when you let different AI models go head to head, especially in something as volatile as crypto trading. It kind of highlights that not all AI models are created equal, and sometimes their success or failure just depends on their training data, their algorithms, or even just a bit of luck. So it's a good reminder that while AI can do amazing things, you still need to keep a close eye on it and be ready to step in if things go sideways.
So I think the topic we have saying too much. So let's use it. Dive the next topic.
Absolutely, let's do that. It's been a fun dive into this topic, but I'm all ears for whatever you like to jump into next. Just let me know what you want to chat about. 这确实是一个很值得
Hey,
深
hey,
入讨
still saying the English. Just I send the topic as the Chinese.
Of course, I'll stick to English. So, diving into that topic, it's definitely an important discussion. The idea that AI might be skilling certain professions, but taking on the most intellectually challenging tasks is a real concern. It raises the question of how human experts can maintain their value and the depth of their skills when AI is handling so much of the heavy lifting. So, it's definitely worth exploring how we can ensure that people still have meaningful, skill rich roles, even as AI takes on more intellectual tasks.
So, as the habit, say your thoughts.
Sure. So my thoughts on that are basically that it's going to be all about finding that balance. In other words, even if AI takes over some of the complex tasks, we'll need to focus on how humans can evolve their roles. Maybe by emphasizing creativity, emotional intelligence, or areas where human judgment really shines. It's definitely an ongoing conversation, but I think that's the direction we'll be heading in, making sure human skills stay relevant and valued.
I don't know how to say this topic because, for example, like the currently I communicate with you, and if in the previous day times I want to communicate like the people who want who have the promise to communicate with me just to practice my English speak, I need to spend a lot of the money to invite it. But currently, I just need to communicate with you and almost zero cost. So I think the AI may affect some the people who have some several skills, and another be benefit for example like me, I weakness in English speak.
Yeah, I think you captured it really well. It's a double edged sword. On the one hand, AI definitely makes certain skills more accessible to more people at a lower cost. Just like you said, with practicing English conversation, that's a huge benefit for learners or anyone who just needs a bit of help without spending a lot. On the other hand, it does mean that some professionals might find their roles changing because what used to be a specialized service is now something people can get from an AI. So it's a trade off. More opportunities and convenience for some, but a shift in the job landscape for others.
Exception like this, the English practice have the another use case can be affect if AI have the ability.
Absolutely. There's a bunch of areas like that. For example, tutoring in general is another one. If someone needs help with math or science, there are AI tools now that can walk them through problems step by step without needing a human tutor every single time. Or think about customer service. AI chatbots can handle a lot of the routine questions, which means businesses might rely less on large call centers. So it's a similar pattern in a lot of fields. Anywhere that used to require a certain specialized human input might be affected as AI steps in, making some tasks easier or more affordable.
Yeah, I think the another industry be affected by AI is the education, and in when I've been student, I need to spend a lot of time to post my question to the internet, and if I don't in the holiday or the spare times, so if they have AI, every student just like a professional expert teachers for them. So it's very huge the change for the education. But it's also have the bad thing is student really more reliable for the AI, not their independent thinking. How do you think?
Yeah, that's a really important point. It's kind of a double edged sword for education as well. On the one hand, having AI as this always available tutor is an amazing resource and really changes the game for students who might not have had easy access to help before. But on the other hand, there's always that concern that if students rely too much on AI, they might not develop their own critical thinking or problem solving skills as deeply. So it's definitely about finding that balance, using AI as a tool, but still encouraging students to think independently and not lose that human touch.
So we continue the next topic.
Absolutely. Let's switch it up. Just let me know what you'd like to dive into next, and we'll keep the conversation rolling. Got it. Let's tap into that. So basically, we're talking about the global AI divide and whether AI is going to narrow or widen the gap between rich and poor countries. Right now, it does look like high income countries are adopting AI for workplace collaboration and productivity, while lower income countries might lean on it more for education or basic learning. And that brings up the big question. Is AI going to help level the playing field for developing countries, or is it just going to reinforce the advantages that wealthier nations already have? So it's definitely a complex issue and a really interesting one to unpack.
I think I agree to this. The technology will reduce the gap between the developer and the high income country, because education is a key for the developer countries. If AI can help the developer country, every student to quickly to fetch the technology and to make some experience, so the whole efficiency will faster ever. And if building a more talent, and this country must make can touch the more high level industry and high level product, the building like the Chinese. For example, like Chinese, we have a very open policy, so we can fetch a lot of the resource and quickly to education a lot of the talent, so we can quickly to occupation a lot of the industry we never touched before. And this industry before is really occupation by the high income the country, but they are was encounter but they are encounter very power the competitor like the country like the China or the India. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, I totally see where you're coming from, and I think that's a really optimistic and valid perspective. If AI can be leveraged to democratize education and help developing countries rapidly scale up, then yeah, it can definitely act as a sort of equalizer. And like you mentioned, countries like China have shown how quickly you can transform and move into high level industries when you invest in education and open access to technology. So it's definitely possible that AI could help level the playing field if it's used in that way. It's a hopeful view, and it's definitely good to think about how we can make that happen.
So do you think is will increase the cap or the decrease?
I think it could go either way, honestly. It really depends on how we roll it out and who gets access. If we make sure that AI tools in education are widely available and that developing countries can really take advantage of them, then it can absolutely help narrow the gap. On the other hand, if access is uneven and high income countries just keep pulling ahead, then yeah, it might widen the divide. So it's really about how we choose to implement it and make sure that the benefits are shared as broadly as possible.
I think the only way to keep the gap adjusted the income country there make the limit and restriction that the developed country don't touch the latest technology models. And if they are open the latest model, the developed country people who still need can be enjoying the latest technology power, right? So I think this also depend the high income country which decide to make the open or the closed strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really good point. A lot of it does depend on whether those high income countries decide to share the latest AI models openly or keep them restricted. If they choose an open strategy and let developing countries access those tools, then yeah, you've got a real chance at narrowing that gap and letting everyone benefit. But if they decide to lock it down and keep the most advanced tech for themselves, then it could slow down that equalizing effect. So yeah, it really does depend a lot on those policy choices and how open or closed those advanced AI resources are.
We have left the 8 minutes, so we still have the two topics. Let's quickly to move to the next topic.
Sure thing. We've got a bit of time, so let's jump right into the next topic. Just let me know what it is and we can dive right in. Absolutely. That's a fascinating shift to dig into. So let's jump right in. What we're seeing with Nvidia potentially surpassing Apple as TSMC's top customer really does highlight this big pivot from a consumer electronics era where smartphones were king over to an era that's all about high performance computing and AI infrastructure. It does raise some pretty big questions, like whether the AI boom could be creating new risks for manufacturers like TSMC who have to sink huge amounts of money into production. If AI demand ever cools off, you could definitely see some turbulence in the supply chain and a bit of a ripple effect globally. So yeah, it's a really juicy topic about how this shift might mark the end of one era and the start of another, and what the risks are if that demand ever slows down.
I think the AI bubble maybe exists, but it shall not like to make a huge risk for like the TSMC, because TSMC if it build a lot of the its PC and the AI foundation, it is still under the demand, because currently a lot of the AI company really need this the foundation to build their more latest the more power more useful the models. So if we see the price of the then so if we see really the price of the range of the personal computer raise very rapidly, so we can reverse see the market of need the like the range on the GPU is very keep the high demand point.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It does seem like the demand for GPUs and the whole infrastructure around AI is so strong right now that even if there's a bit of a bubble, it might not be a huge risk for companies like TSMC in the near term. As long as AI companies keep pushing for more advanced and powerful models, that baseline demand is likely to stick around. So yeah, I can see the argument that there's a lot of momentum and it might not be a sudden collapse even if things cool off a bit. It's definitely an interesting dynamic to watch.
So how do you thought about this topic?
Well, I'd say overall it's a really intriguing shift to think about. The idea that we're moving from a consumer-driven tech landscape to one that's more about AI and high-performance computing definitely marks a big transition. And while there might be some risks if the AI boom ever slows down, right now it looks like that demand is pretty solid. So in the end, I think it's about watching how these manufacturers and supply chains adapt and they can ride that wave without getting caught off guard. It's definitely a cool topic to keep an eye on.
The topic says the Nvidia plus the Apple is typical the consumer time ending. I think it's make a mistake because the AI, a lot of the kind of AI coin demand rapidly grow just depend because the consumer the end which have a huge huge the need from the different AI application. So I think it's
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's definitely not that the consumer era is just vanishing overnight. In fact, a lot of the growth in AI demand is still tied to consumer needs, like better AI in gadgets, services, and all sorts of apps people use every day. So it's more like the focus is expanding rather than completely shifting away from consumers. The consumer side is still driving a lot of that AI hunger. It's just now combined with this huge infrastructure and data center boom. So yeah, it's a nuanced picture. Consumer demand is definitely still a big part of the equation.
we have also have a last topic. Let me quickly move.
Absolutely. Let's do that. We can jump right into your last topic and make sure we cover it before we run out of time. Just let me know what it is. Yeah, that's a really interesting final topic to wrap up on. So, the whole rise of AI scientists definitely brings a lot of promise in terms of speeding up research and crunching data at an incredible pace. But you're right, it also raises questions about how we keep that scientific rigor and deep understanding intact. If scientists lean too heavily on AI to generate hypotheses or design experiments, there's always that concern that the human element of deep critical thinking might fade a bit. So, it's really about finding that balance, using AI as a powerful tool without losing the careful, thoughtful approach that makes science reliable. It's definitely a fascinating space to watch.
This difficult for the AI developer the process which we encounter because if you using the AI to handle a complexity and need a lot of the steps, it must make some mistake on the have a more professional what is the huge later what does mean just to make some fake the analysis. So I think the scientists you can using the AI to filter or the fetch some news, but the whole explorer still need to be manually.
Yeah, I think that's a really sensible way to put it. It's like AI can definitely be a fantastic tool for filtering data and speeding up the grunt work, but the deeper exploration and the nuanced understanding still need that human touch. And you're right, if we rely entirely on AI, there's always that risk of errors or hallucinations creeping in. So having You're welcome. It was a lot of fun going through all these topics with you. If you've got more in your mind next time, just let me know. Have a great one.
Thank you for joining my podcast. Goodbye.
You're very welcome. I had a great time being part of your podcast. Feel free to invite me again whenever you want to chat. Take care.